Hello, how's it going? In today's video, I'm covering the second Warchief and the second Siege of Stormwind from Chronicle Volume 2. So let's go! Gul'dan's sudden coma had confused the hell out of the Shadow Council. They had no idea why or how it happened. Blackhand was also confused, but also a little bit pleased. Because Gul'dan had been annoying recently, it was pretty obvious he'd been trying to assert more and more control over the Horde. However, Orgrim Doomhammer was just bloody excited. This was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. What with the Shadow Council in disarray and Blackhand still pissed off about the failed attack on Stormwind. This was his chance to get revenge for Durotan and Draka and erase the corruption that had damned the Orc people. So he approached Blackhand and challenged him to a mak'gora, which is a duel to the death. He called the Warchief a traitor and a twat, and Blackhand had no choice but to accept the challenge. Refusing a mak'gora was not really something any Orc could do, unless they wanted to lose all respect and be viewed as a wet blanket. So they had a fight, and it went on for bloody hours. Eventually, Orgrim defeated the Warchief by crushing his skull with his family's weapon, the Doomhammer. Lovely. The Horde observed this victory, fell to their knees, and were like, well, I guess Orgrim is Warchief now. Orgrim immediately addressed the Horde, telling them Gul'dan and his warlocks were not what they seemed. Fell power had killed Draenor. It was time to cleanse the Horde of this green crap, and the first step towards doing that was to outlaw the use of fell magic. The penalty is death or something. Unfortunately, the Shadow Council had cheesed it when Blackhand died. Orgrim was a little bit disappointed, as he'd been looking forward to killing them as well. For the time being, he would need to focus his attention on the war with the humans. He didn't relish the idea of more battles, but he knew the Horde had no choice. The only way the Orcs could survive would be to conquer Stormwind and make it their new home. So he ordered the clans to prepare for one final assault. Like, right now. Warchief Orgrim did consider calling on the war songs Shattered Hand and Bone Chewers to assist, but decided against it. There was no time, and those clans were still a bit mental. If they stood any chance of winning this second attack, it would be before Stormwind had a chance to get their shit together. And the battle commenced. The Horde breached the city's walls and stormed into the streets. Stormwind's defenders managed to hold them at bay, at first. King Lane was having a little brain trust meeting with some military advisors when he received word that Garona had arrived in the city. Khadgar and Lothar were still gone, and the king was a little bit worried about them, so he allowed Garona to enter Stormwind Keep. But, just as she was about to inform the king of the battle with Medivh, something snapped. Her encounter with the Guardian had scrambled her brain, and she suddenly had no idea of the difference between sugar tits or foe. Gul'dan's previous command to kill the king flared brightly in her mind. And as much as she really didn't want to, I mean she was crying her eyes out about it, she plunged a dagger into Lane's heart. The king's young son, Varian, witnessed this, and he was like, "No, Daddy, no!" This assassination would forever taint his perception of the Orcs. They were deceitful and murderous, and just bloody jerks as far as he was concerned. Garona managed to escape the keep and vanish due to the chaos of battle outside. Word of the king's death soon reached Stormwind's forces, and they were like, "You what, mate?" Their morale faltered, and things did not look good. The city was in flames, which, let's face it, happens all the time, so it's probably nothing to worry about. At this point, Anduin, Lothar and Khadgar returned from Karazhan. Lothar sprang into action as soon as he saw the chaos, and even upon learning of the king's death, he took charge. There was nothing left they could do for the city. They could only save as many people as possible, so he ordered a mass evacuation. Lothar, Khadgar, Gavinrad, and the remaining soldiers gathered Prince Varian and his mother Queen Taria, along with any other peeps they could find. They fought through the streets to Stormwind's harbour, with many casualties along the way, including Queen Taria. Well, she didn't really have a big part in the story, did she? When they reached the docks, they destroyed most of the city's boats so the Horde couldn't follow them, and then they set sail. Stormwind City burned to the ground as the refugees sailed away. The First War was over, and the Horde had won, but their Warchief was actually a little bit furious. And we're leaving it there! In the next Volume 2 video, Orgrim is going to attack Blackrock Spire, and then we're going to see some dragons for the first time in bloody ages. As always, thanks very much to those of you who support the channel as patrons. Links in the description if anyone's interested in supporting the channel in that way. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all there's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!